Welcome back to Tactical Pontoon, the Trigger Jedi. Now, this is not actually a trigger video. Today, we are going to look at the assembly of the Gunco +5 mag extension. I've had a couple people ask. There's not a video on it, and I'm going to show you how to do it. We'll do it right here on this video. So, to start out, you will remove, and this is an ETS mag that I have here on display. Honestly, I would use an OEM mag. You can use an ETS mag, but the little piece right here that you need for the bottom of the spring, you need an OEM one. This is an OEM Glock base plate follower, if you will. You will need one of those. You can make one of the ETS ones work, but again, I wouldn't. That's the caveat to this video, but it is on an ETS mag. Disassemble your magazine. Install the mag extension body. That should be pretty easy. Okay, that's why we're ahead of the game here. You will discard your other spring. This is the spring that the Gunco ships. It is an overpowered spring so that you get proper feeding. You got your follower. Okay, this is an ETS follower. They're just not as high quality as factory, but again, that's what I've got for this video. You will, to start out, the next step is you put your follower and your spring in place. Normally, the follower kind of clips into place on the factory spring. The ETS is not the best when it comes to that. You want to make sure that your follower is correct on the spring. Okay, now, the next thing that you need to do, this is a relatively simple process, but you do need to be aware that things can happen. There is spring power going on in two different places. You will take your little retainer pin, you will drop it in the hole. You will then put the spring that goes on top of that retainer pin in the hole. Now, I do this step first because the next step, if you wait to put this pin and this spring in place, you will be fighting against this spring to do so. All right? Next, you have your base plate, your end cap, your spring cap, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there's a technical name, and somebody in chat or in the comments will tell me what it is. The next step is to put this in place. I say practice this several times without this in place before you do so. Have yourself a pin punch, one of your Glock tools ready. It may come in handy. You want to practice this several times before you go forward to attempt. You want the big nub facing you at this point. It needs to be facing outwards. Okay, we are going to get this spring pushed down, and it's an overpowered spring. It's gonna fight you, and it's fighting me now. Because what you're going to do okay, it is in. I did not need this punch. Sometimes you do to push the spring in place. So once you have it where you can push this cap all the way in with the spring encapsulated, you're now ready for the next and final step. This is your end plate. Now, this has a hole, and that's right in the middle, right where that spring comes through. That hole is for that nub on the bottom of that cap. So you're going to come in at an angle. You're going to come in at an angle so that that hole does not hit that spring and allow it to pop out of the way. See, now we're there. push forward, push your little nub down so you can push your plate in place, and there you are. It is now assembled. I recommend practicing. The main part I would practice is putting this spring in place without these here. Okay? Once you're fairly proficient at getting that spring in place with that cap so that you can push down into the body, then you are ready for that final spring. It is a very simple process, but it can take just a little bit of practice because you can launch springs and parts everywhere. These little springs that fit in the back of here for this little, you can see the pin that sticks out right there just a little bit. That little spring in there, you can launch that if you're not careful. I do have a couple extra. If it does happen, it has happened to me. I was practicing for this video and I launched it where I couldn't find it. So I have some extras just in case you run into that. Excellent +5 mag extension. Get them on the website. I have them for Glock 19, and then of course Glock 17/45/47/34 19X. Okay? There's a difference between them. Excellent mag extension. This bottom plate here is titanium. Okay, so it's not just standard aluminum. It is a titanium base plate there. Pretty neat. Adds a little extra weight, adds a little extra strength, and who doesn't love a little bit of titanium? So that's it. That is the how-to on putting this thing together. If you have any questions, leave them in comments. You can get a hold of me on the website, TacticalPontoon.com. And when you are ready for a trigger, you know where to come. The Trigger Jedi. Catch you next time.